Hey, my name is Johnny, and this is my testimony on how the Lord helped me lose over 150 pounds. Yeah, so my name is Johnny, and we're here today to speak about my testimony about what the Lord has done in my life. And essentially, He did help me lose over 150 pounds, closer to 153, 155. We don't have to be exact. And it was honestly an experience. It's been an experience this whole year. It's been an experience, an unforgettable experience. Essentially, it started last year around May, late April, early May, mid-May. And I'm driving one time, and then just randomly, I get dizzy. And then that really scared me because I'm like, okay, I got dizzy. What's going on? I don't get dizzy ever. So it scared me. I went to the doctor. I got it checked out. I did something that I never ever do. I don't like going to the doctor, which, if you're watching this, and I hope you are, go to the doctor. But I don't like going to the doctor. I don't like getting my blood checked, but I did it. And thankfully, my blood came in pretty normal. There were some highs and sodium and stuff like that. But what really did scare me, though, was the blood pressure. The blood pressure was very high. And at that time, it was pretty high for a while because I was sitting, large and in charge for a while. And, that scared me. That scared me. And that was basically God shaking me and telling me that it's time to do something. The dizziness, thank God, it was, of all things, it was vertigo. I thought it was a diabetic episode, which thank God I don't have, and I never entered it. But that's what I thought. I thought it was something with diabetes. And I treated it as it was diabetes because I went into this regimen that I just restricted and just cut out foods that I shouldn't be eating anymore. I was eating lots of calories, and I restricted the calories. I went back to the gym, and I really started to take care of myself. I turned everything inside out as far as the food goes. And, slowly but surely, it paid off in the end. And even today, I'm still pretty much taking care of what I eat, tracking what I eat, because I don't want to, I don't want to go back to that old guy. And that old guy it's not a fun place to be, not just physically, because obviously physically, very tiring, you can't do anything, but spiritually, that affected my spiritual life a lot. To the point where you just give up, no faith. But the Lord completely transformed my life in that sense, spiritually and in my faith. And here we are.
How did this process develop your faith and relationship with God?
Yeah, this process really flipped it inside out completely. And a complete 360, because the old Johnny, I always joke around, tell my family, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but 333 was my starting weight. So 333 me was not happy, and that really does affected my faith. It just didn't allow me to see life the way that it's supposed to be seen, and that's through Christ's lens, his eyes and not mine. And through this journey, through this whole year, it's basically made me see things differently. There's just a new sense of hope, in the good sense of the word hope, not just in myself, but in just people around me, things around me. Really noticing what the beautiful things that God does on this earth, because when we're not thinking about ourselves all the time, we actually take the time to see God's beauty on earth, God's beauty within the people, God's creation, which really is a beautiful thing. So I would say it just completely changed my relationship with Him, because it ignited a new relationship with Him. Understanding now that just without Him, there's no, can't do anything. Yeah, I always say that the hardest part, at least for me, and I know that it generally is kind of the hardest part, is the very beginning. Because in the beginning, it's just the hardest part is always starting. The hardest part is always those first couple weeks where you're literally shocking your body from being used to this pattern of certain things, and in my case, food, and eating this surplus amount of food. And then all of a sudden just cutting it like that, And that's the approach that I did. That's other people have other approaches, other methods. But I felt like in my case, personally, with what I was going through at the time, I did feel like I had to shock my body in that sense. That was definitely a challenge at first, going back to the gym, remembering how I've always liked playing sports. I've always been kind of a sports guy. And but then my body wasn't allowing me to be that sports guy that I wanted to be. So that was a big challenge, mentally wanting to see myself doing and performing where I wanted to perform, but then my body telling me, nope, you got to go at this pace. You got to go at this pace. So that was very hard. Bending my shoes inwardly because my feet, it sounds funny, but that was a thing. And I would say, eating out because, let's face it, we're big because we like to eat, but it's always good to eat, but, obviously in moderation, healthily. But at the time, I didn't care. I ate, but one of the challenges was everybody's going out to eat, enjoying eating good foods, and I'm just like, nah, I'll stick with my quinoa, my lentils. But eventually it paid off, right? One of the biggest obstacles and it has been for a long time, is shopping. Shopping was just a complete nightmare for me, just because, I couldn't fit in anything. I would go to the store, nothing was there to fit my size. I would go to another store, nothing was there to fit my size. And guess what? I would go to another store, nothing was there to fit my size. But, so obviously I ended up just hating shopping. I just disliked it very much. And as a result, I would kind of take a, lazy approach to dressing, and something that was, just, brought to my attention time after time after time. And I knew that it's an issue. I know I was aware of what was happening, but I just couldn't fight the courage to say, you know what, all right, I have to accept that I have to buy this size and not the size that I want to be. Eventually, how did I become that obstacle was, well, obviously by losing weight, right? Exercising. It got to the point where for my birthday, I received, shirts. I received some pants, the sizes that I think I wore when I was like 12 years old. Like I was able to fit into those sizes again. And I was ecstatic. I shed a tear, a single tear, because I was very happy that day. But that was a huge obstacle. Another one, maybe exercise was one. Although exercise, I have to say that it was easy to get back on track because I like I mentioned earlier, I love, sports. I loved working out. But just getting my stamina back to how it was, and even better to this day, I would say it's even better now. Those were challenges that, thanks to God and only God, I was able to achieve. It definitely changed a lot of areas in my life. I would say, just from the top of my head right now that I can think of, most recently traveling. Traveling was something just kind of like shopping. It was a nightmare for me. It's tough when you can't really fit in the airplane. But I fit in the airplane, and it was great. I loved it. Not just the fact that I was able to fit, but I was comfortable. I was, just not insecure about, if this or that, and it didn't play any effect into the actual travel. Also, another one that I can think of is just overall presentation of things, being up front and my church. Yeah, I was up front. Johnny, play if you have to play this, or if the Lord wants me to play that, I would do it back in the day. But definitely insecurely, and I would do it, with just a different attitude that I would say it doesn't glorify God. But when all that's behind me and I could actually focus on what's real and what's in front of me, which is Christ, that just changes everything in terms of not just playing an instrument, but just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. One of the verses that really, really spoke to me pretty heavily was Luke 11:36, and it essentially says, "Therefore, if your whole body is full of light and no part of it dark, it will be just as full of light as when a lamp shines its light on you." Another version, the version in Spanish, talks about a dark corner, meaning that if your life has no corners of darkness, which entails everything about me, there's no darkness within me, that's when I reflect the true light of Christ. And that's what people can see. But if there is a corner of darkness in me, and I guess in this particular case, the weight, not just because of the weight, but it's more because of what it was doing to my health, to my mind, to my faith, to my relationship with God, first and foremost. That was definitely a corner of darkness because I wasn't able to reflect the true light that Christ did in my life and was doing in my life. And obviously nobody was able to see that because I'm just going to be thinking of, this and this and that. But now that, and again, talking about this particular case, now that God transformed this part of my life, I can honestly say that, that's not a darkness anymore in me. And I thank him for that. I'm very thankful for that. Whatever your situation is, whatever circumstance you may be going through right now, first of all, know that God is allowing you to go through that because you can conquer it. All you have to do is just literally do it. Believe in yourself. Believe that God already did it for you, and just do it. You can conquer it. You're stronger than what you think you are. Your mind doesn't govern you. Christ governs your mind and your body. So you can do it.